Hey guys, what's going on? Alright, so this is going to be my first official video, talking about kayaking and stuff. And what I'm going to talk about, which I'm guessing you already know from the description, is just the general stuff on what you would really want to have with you while kayaking. And listen, guys, if I miss anything, or you think something else would be helpful or useful, while you're out there, please drop a comment, let me know, because, the more information, the better, right? Okay, so the first thing, I have a list here in front of me, so if you see me look down, it's because I wrote out a list, and I'm just kind of going over it, making sure I don't really miss anything. The first obvious tool you're going to need is a paddle. Laugh all you want, that's what you need. A lot of people don't know how to measure up on a paddle. I've seen people go out kayaking, and the paddle is enormous. They're 5 feet tall, and they have a 250 centimeter kayak paddle, and you see them struggling because it's just too long for them. It takes a lot more energy. It's a lot more work on your arms. You're gonna really feel it at the end of the day if your kayak paddle isn't the right size. So make sure when if you're a new kayaker and you're really not sure what size you are, like I know I shop at Dick's Sporting Goods and Bass Pro Shops a lot. If I have any questions, I just go up to the guys that are at that are at the page, and they help me out, and they whatever questions I have, they answer it pretty much. Okay. The next thing, very important, probably one of the most important things you'll bring, a PFD, a personal flotation device. This is great for if you flip over. This is really only good for if you flip over, or if you decide to jump out of your kayak, mid kayak, and you just want to go for a swim, cool down. It's a hot summer day. You're in the lake. You're in the ocean. The safest way to really swim is, especially if you're in the ocean or a lake, is with a PFD on. Make sure you don't sink. Especially if your swimming skills aren't up to par. You're not a strong swimmer. The flotation device will keep your head above water, and that's really important, obviously, because we need to breathe. Believe it or not, next thing I would say is pretty important. It's not necessary, but it's definitely help you out, especially on like the ocean water, is sunglasses. Especially on a nice bright sunny day. I know I've had plenty of experiences where I'm out on the water and the sun is beaming down, and the light reflects off of the water and it hits me in the eye, and it's just very bright, and it can be very unpleasant. It really can. It could also, the sunglasses could also protect your eyes from debris blowing into your face, getting water in your eyes. I know when I've gotten salt water in my eyes, it tends to burn. Your eyes get red, they get itchy. The sunglasses will just kind of help to prevent that really from happening. The next thing, which I think is important because I bring a phone, and I bring just some other things, my wallet or whatever sometimes, is a dry bag. A dry bag, you can really get them like any sporting goods store, especially like Dick's Sporting Goods, Bass Pro Shop, Galleons, Cantmore. They all sell these things. They're waterproof bags. You could throw your wallet, your phone, your car keys, just anything, anything that you wouldn't want to get wet. You could throw it in one of these heavy-duty bags, and they'll keep you dry. They have all different sizes. They have ones that are specifically just for your smartphone to fit in. Some of them even come with like a lanyard around your neck, and that'll help you out. They also have, ones that are huge, and you can throw clothes in them, and whatever else in them. Okay, let's see what else is next. I saw this one on a site, and I thought this was interesting because I would, I'm an Eagle Scout, and I would definitely think this would be helpful. Our survival kit. I could definitely see that being a great tool to have while you're out. God forbid something happens. Waterproof matches are great. Poncho is very good. They have those, I forget exactly what they're called, but they're like a very shiny sheet. And it's like a thermal blanket, but the heat from your body actually reflects off of it as it's wrapped around your body, and it goes right back to your body. It's a very thin sheet. They usually fold them up in squares. That's the packaging, and they can keep you warm. God forbid you get stuck, on a sandbar, or whatever. I don't know. Something happens, and you need to stay warm. That's what that'll do. A flashlight is another great tool. I know I have one on my keys. It's a little flashlight. The even these dollar stores. I have a Dollar Tree near me. But any dollar store, you get a cheap little flashlight if you want. It's good for an emergency. Just basic first aid stuff is cool too. Bandages, gauze. Maybe Bass Trace, and just minor stuff. You're not looking to pack for heart surgery. You just want enough to where maybe if you flipped over, or you came in contact with a rock or something, and you scratched yourself, you want to be able to cut that up. Oh, sorry guys, there's a cat over here, and it's staring at me. All right, let's see. Next on this thing is a paddle leash. Paddle leashes are great, especially if you're in rough tides, or you're like river rafting, kayaking, and any or it's very windy out and you're getting blown around. I've never really dropped a paddle, to tell you the truth, but they are great to have, just because I've heard of many stories where guys only brought one paddle with them and nobody has any extras, and the guy, say, he flipped over and he lost his paddle, and now he's done. Now he's done for the day because he lost his paddle, and some poor sucker has to throw him a tow rope, and he has to tow him the rest of the trip, and nobody wants to get stuck doing that job. Okay, so do yourself a favor, get a paddle leash. I've seen them where you don't even necessarily have to tie them to yourself. You could actually tie them to the kayak, which I thought was pretty cool. That way that the two stay together all the time. Because sometimes, when you're fishing, you don't want to hold on to the paddle, and you don't want to be attached with a cord around your wrist, your arm, or whatever you're connecting it to. So connecting it to your kayak is definitely a cool feature. Let's see. Okay, so this brings us to throw rope. A great example. If I lost my paddle and I can't, now I can't move really, I'm gonna need somebody to be able to tie a rope to my kayak, to the front of it preferably, and tow me back to shore, or tow me back to, to safety, or wherever I am. You could also use them, God forbid somebody gets sucked into a little whirlpool or something like that, and they're not a strong kayaker, or they're just not strong in general, and they're having a hard time pulling themselves out, or some kind of emergency. A throw rope is always great to have. There's many, it's a universal tool. There's many uses for it. Another great thing to wear are like waterproof shoes. I know Croc makes a lot. Speedo makes some, and then there's some like like knockoff brands too that are a little cheaper. But they all do the job. If when you're first stepping into the ocean to paddle off your kayak, to push off, you don't want to step on any sharp shells or anything. You don't want to cut your feet, because that'll just delay your trip, if not cancel it altogether, depending on how bad you got hurt. So a good pair of water shoes is always great, or just a pair of junk shoes that you don't wear anymore. Those will definitely help you out a lot, and they will go a long way. Let's see, what else is next? Clothes. A lot of people don't know what to wear, when they go kayaking. I might flip over. That's something you got to think about. You may flip over. The wave could catch you on just the wrong angle, and you might flip over. You might turn too hard. I've seen it happen. I've seen a bunch of stuff happen. Generally, what I wear when I go kayaking is I'll just throw a bathing suit on and a t-shirt, because when you go kayaking and God forbid you do flip over, you don't want to be wearing these heavy clothes, because it's just going to make it more difficult for you to swim, and for you to try to flip your kayak back over and get back in it. So very light clothes. Bathing suit is perfect. Bathing suit dries very quickly. Cotton t-shirt dries very quickly. They even make special t-shirts. I forget what they're made out of, but there's actually special t-shirts specifically for water sports that dry very quickly. And they keep you dry as well, even if you're not wet. Like when you sweat on your armpits, your chest, your back. These shirts are actually designed to soak up your sweat, and then they dry themselves, naturally. So you might want to look into that as well. Let's see. Next, I have suntan lotion. A lot of people don't really think about suntan lotion, but it is definitely a very important thing. I would definitely recommend carrying and putting on, even before I went out. Half the time when I go out, You'll have a great day on the water. Nothing happens. The next morning, you're stiff. You can't move because you got sunburn, and sunburn doesn't usually take effect till hours and hours after you got it. Especially if you don't really move around during the night a lot, then the sunburn really dries up, and it's extremely painful, and it's very dangerous too. You can get skin cancer from it and stuff, and it's just not a joke, and it's not worth trying to get around it. Go to the store, buy some suntan lotion. If you have very light skin, if you're very sensitive, you get burnt easily, get a higher PF, rated suntan lotion. They go up to, I don't even know how much. I've seen them, I think 70 or 65, something like that, or 80. Whatever you need, whatever works for you, though, get it, because it's important. It really is. It could either make your trip great or ruin it. So look into that for sure, and bring it with you. Don't just put it on and say I'm good for the day. You got to keep applying it. I don't know how often. I can't remember, but it should say on the packaging, every couple hours or so. Let's see. Okay. All right. So this is another important one, especially if you have a sit-in kayak, and you're on the ocean or rough seas or something like that. When water gets in your kayak, if too much water gets in your kayak, you could actually go under. Your boat could actually capsize or just sink straight down. The best thing to do is to really know where you're going before you buy a kayak. What are you mainly going to do? Are you mainly going to fish in the ocean? Or are you going to mainly do river trips? Or are you going to do just calm pond and lake trips? And you'll go from there on how to determine what kayak would be best for you. So if you know that your kayak is going to, with whatever you're going to use it for, is going to get a lot of water in it, the best bet would really, you have a couple options. One is a spray skirt, which the opening of a sitting kayak, it goes around the opening, and when you sit in it, you tighten it. It has like a pull cord, I believe. I've never used one, but it has a pull cord, and it tightens around your waist, and it seals water out, from getting into your sit-in kayak. Another option for a sit-in kayak is a bail pump or a sponge pump. I don't know, whatever they're called. And basically, if you get water in there, there's these pumps where you put one end of the pump in, and the other part of the hose sticks out of the side, and you could pump it. You pump it like that, and then the sponge. It's a sponge. You put it where the good amount of water is. You soak it up with the sponge and squeeze it out over, back over the ocean or the pond or whatever you're in, and you could lose your water that way. Let's see what else I got here. A spare paddle. I've never really seen anybody bring a spare paddle with them. I guess you could. I know they sell fold-up ones, like where they really fold up into like 6 different pieces. And I guess if you have room on your kayak, you could tie that down. God forbid you do end up losing your paddle and you don't have like a harness or anything like that for your kayak, for your paddle. So I guess, that could be a good thing, but it's very rare that you see anybody have an extra paddle. Also, if somebody loses theirs, you can lend this one to them instead of having to pull them the whole time for the rest of your trip and ruin your trip. Another thing I thought was pretty important, and again, this goes along with the survival kit, so I guess but I guess I'd touch topics on it, is a light. Now, the Coast Guard, depending on where you are, the Coast Guard likes you to have a light at the front of your boat, or the back of your boat, I think it is. I don't think for a kayak, I don't really think it matters. I'm trying to think. I don't, because it's not motorized, so I don't think they're too stiff on it. But really, you should have a light. If not, you do have to have a light. I'm really not sure. I'd have to check. But because I don't really do night fishing on the ocean, it's a little too sketchy for me. But a light is always great. I know some people buy these small lanterns. They're about 5 inches tall, and some people call them green and red, just like you would have on a boat or a motorized boat. That way, people can see where the front of your ship is, where you're facing, where you're heading, and just another great tool. Just to help guide you to see where you're going and maybe light up the immediate area of where you are. And also it'll give you light onto your kayak so that if, say you're fishing and you catch a fish, now you're bringing it on board. Okay, now you can kind of see what the hell you're doing. You don't have to be scrambling. You don't have to get I was gonna say a finger in your hook, a hook in your finger. You just avoid problems altogether just by having, a little $10 light. It does go that's another thing that just goes a long way. It has multiple purposes, and it just keeps you safe out there because you're on a kayak, you're on a little boat. These guys are driving big yachts around and other motorboats and stuff, and they have a hard time seeing you. Even during the daytime, you gotta be very careful. Some of these guys can't see you. I don't know why. I mean, I know some of these guys have bright kayaks and they're still getting run over, or these people are still going by at 50 miles an hour making wakes, and these guys are just capsizing, flipping over because these other motorists, with the motorboats, they don't see us. They just don't see us, and so you just really got to be aware of your surroundings. You gotta look at the signs, no wake zones, and just pay attention, like what's going on. If you see a big boat's coming, get out of the way. Try to paddle away from, where you think the big wake zone from that boat is gonna be, and that's really it, guys. This was my list. I'm sure there's plenty of other stuff. I didn't really touch on like, accessories. It really wasn't an accessory list. It was more of a, what your immediate list, like what you really should have with you when you go kayaking. And that's about it. I guess I'm gonna do I'll probably do another video later on about, other added accessories that you could do and stuff like that. But again, I am learning still, guys. I'm doing a lot of research. I'm learning different safety techniques, different fishing ideas in general, just a whole bunch of stuff. So if you guys have anything to let me know, in general, it doesn't have to be anything specific, but if you guys want to fill me in on anything, if I missed anything, just let me know, and we'll go from there. All right, guys, so long.